If there's one thing that students struggle with the most, it's taking notes effectively and making sure that you're getting the most out of your notes when it comes to exams. In my degree, I managed to get a first class, and in a majority of my modules, I got over 70%. And also in my LPC, which I've just finished, I also got over 70% in every single module that I did there as well. So I'm going to give you my top tips on how I took first class notes in my 4 years of university and how this helped me get high grades every single time. So if you're struggling reaching those higher grades, or you want to try and put in place a more effective way of taking notes, listen up. So the first step is in regards to lectures and seminars. I cannot stress this enough when I say note down what the lecturer is saying rather than copying the slides that are on the screen. The likelihood is you'll probably be sent those slides anyway, so you're going to get that information through email or through your web portal for your actual university, something along those lines. But you're probably not going to hear the lecturer talk about it again unless the lecture is recorded. And even then, you don't want to be watching the full lecture through just to find a few things that you missed out on what the lecturer actually said. So, bullet point exactly what the lecturer is saying about certain points on the slides. Take note of that rather than the fact that on the screen it says, here are the facts, this is what the outcome is. Because the lecturer is going to give you more information that you're able to put in your notes, and you're going to use that in the exam to pick up the extra marks. Alternatively, if you're using a textbook or you're reading an article, don't just start writing down the explanatory bits. You're not going to pick up all the marks just by explaining. You need to also analyse exactly what this means. So you want to take note on what the author is actually stating and giving their opinion on, because that's where you're going to pick up the marks that you can put into your notes that you can then transfer into an exam. So once you've got your base notes from your lecture, your seminars, from a textbook, what you want to do is then go back and start highlighting and formatting your notes. So in your first step, whether that's your lectures, seminars, textbook reading, don't worry too much about how your actual notes are formatted, because you've got all the time afterwards to format them correctly. Essentially what this means is you want to go through and make sure that the chronological or certain points that link to different points are linked together in your actual notes themselves. So in this instance, you've still got all the information that you had in the first place, but it's just formatted a bit better, whether that's under different subtitles or normal titles. So what I would do at this point is split it up into sections. So I would subtitle a bunch of different sections and put the relevant thing that I've learned in a lecture or a seminar under that subtitle, just so it's easier to go back on when you're actually going to revise. Next, and this is the big step, but it's the most crucial step, is to start condensing your notes. So what this means is basically taking out any waffle in there, but also putting the notes in your own words. Obviously your base notes are going to have the words of the lecturer and the textbook in there, but it's not going to be helpful if you don't actually understand what that means. So it might be a little bit more time consuming, but rewrite your notes in your own words. And someone told me what you need to do is rewrite them so then it makes sense to a 5-year-old. Obviously to a certain extent you couldn't actually do that, but if you could put it in the most simple terms possible, it's going to show an examiner when it comes to the actual exam that you understand the concept. So if you've got complex sentences and complex wording in there, try and narrow it down to something that's a lot more simple, a lot more digestible, and it makes sense to you. Obviously I did a law degree, and it's quite known that the textbooks tend to have a lot of waffle and a lot of explanatory notes in there. So there could be one full page of text on one certain point, but actually only 2 sentences out of that full page is going to help you in an exam. So try and condense them as much as possible, and also making sure you put them in your own words so then it's easy to understand. Linking that to exams, you can actually show the examiner, this is exactly how I know this topic, and this is how I made it really simple for you to understand as well, which is going to get you those marks that you might not have got before if you were simply just copying out jargon from a textbook. So you've had your base notes, you've formatted them, and now you've got your condensed notes. The next bit is where you get to formatting your notes ready for the exam. So there's 2 different ways that I formatted my notes in university. The first one is the Cornell method. So if you haven't come across the Cornell method, essentially what it means, you've got a big title at the top, and what you're going to do here is put a line down the page. On the left of that line is going to be the subtitles based on what the key areas and key topics that you need to know. And then on the right is going to be all of the notes that are relevant to that subtitle. By doing this, it's a lot more easy to understand. For example, if you're looking for a certain area in your notes that you want to scrub up on, you can literally go down to the left and say, right, that's the area that I want to look at. Here are the notes that are only relevant to that. And when it comes to the exam, if it comes up on that certain topic, you know that there's a chunk of notes there that are relevant to that section. So you're going to be more specific with what you're actually writing in the exam. The other way that I formatted my notes, and I did this more recently during my masters / the LPC, is to bullet point. I know this is quite a basic thing to do, but if you have a sentence and then bullet points underneath that are relevant to that sentence, it's going to be more digestible in your notes. So you're going to take it on board more because it's not overwhelming information of paragraphs on a page that you're going to be like, whoa, what's going on here? Again, this needs to be written in your own way, so you want to make sure your notes are understandable to you. But by bullet pointing the information, it makes it a lot less overwhelming to actually read the notes and understand what's going on in that topic that you're looking at. Finally, I think this point is literally the thing that helped me the most, and it's such a little thing, but it's to use colour theory in your notes. What I mean by this is assigning different highlight colours to different areas within your notes. So I'm going to take law as an example. Obviously that's what I studied. Most of the time any crucial information is highlighted in yellow, and then my cases are highlighted in pink. My legislation is highlighted in green, and then any other information that could be useful in an exam is highlighted in orange. I do switch this up depending on what colour basically I'm writing my notes in general. But if you can assign certain colours to certain areas of your notes, you know that your brain's going to go to that and think, okay, this is legislation that I'm looking at, for example, if you're doing law. But by doing this, your brain's going to think, okay, the green means this, which means this is going to be an important point to the exam. So they're the things that basically helped me get a first class in a majority of my modules at university across the full 4 years, and it allowed me to get a first class overall in my degree and also a distinction on the LPC / masters. Now, yes, they are quite simple tips, but if you can put them in place and you do it effectively, it's going to help out, I promise. But don't limit yourself just to these tips. There's so much more you can do out there, so do your research and do what feels most natural for you to do. So if you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. I do have a bunch more videos like these coming up, and I do have some already on my page that you could take a look at. But until next time, go format your notes. Go write those first class notes. Just do it. Go do it.